His name is Stephen Pearcy. He's the lead singer for the 80s metal band and current metal band RATT. And he's got a new book out, Sex, Drugs, Ratt and Roll, My Life in Rock. It's a tell-all book, and it certainly does tell all. We've got him on the phone. Let's talk to him. Hello, Stephen?
Yo.
Hey, how are you today?
Good.
Good. I am very, very, very excited. Listen, 1984 was a long time ago. That's how long I've been waiting to talk to you.
Why did it take so long? All you got to do is look, nowadays, tweet or...
Oh, absolutely, nowadays. But back in the day, I would have had to have, according to your book, I would have had to orally pleasure one of your security guards. Put lipstick on the backstage pass to get back there to meet you. Now it's a little easier.
All right.
So if this interview goes well, I will tweet you and we can continue chatting.
Cool, brother.
Lead singer for the band RATT, new book out, Sex, Drugs, Ratt and Roll, My Life in Rock. I am thoroughly enjoying the book.
Thank you.
Do you feel the same pressure putting a book out that you do putting out a new album?
Some things were frustrating, but you know what? I just wanted to make some things known and let, our fans into a little insight of this, this monster rat and how it got started and, the misconceptions and a little fun, a little storytelling.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that you had to clear up? Is it about Robin?
No, I didn't want to.
You?
Well, I didn't need to clear up anything, first of all. I mean, otherwise I would have cleaned it up years ago.
Right.
I'm still making a mess of things. But on the subject of Robin, he was a big, big part of this band. He was my right-hand man starting this band, and its image, its everything, our direction. I mean, we were partners in crime, and once we got the five of us together, we did become the Cement Pirates, and all hell broke loose. We became brothers,
When I talked to Slash about his book, one of the things he said was he had a hard time remembering all the things that he lived through for the book. And so I'm wondering, were there parts of the 80s and 90s that you had a hard time remembering or that things came back to you had forgotten about because you had the book coming up?
100%. I had to go back to some, who are still my friends, some security guy, concierge, of mine on the road, because I didn't remember 2 or 3 years. It's so true, I mean, once we started, we didn't think it would last a year or 2 records or, or even last as long as it did now, So, yeah, I had to look up some people.
Now, you talk about how this thing lasted as long as it did, and you weren't sure it would, how long it would last. In 1984, on the first album, you guys came out with Round and Round, which you wrote. And it's considered one of the biggest rock songs of all time. VH1, I think, listed it as number 61 on their list of greatest hard rock songs. Did you worry after writing that song that it would be hard to create another song that big, or did it not matter at that point? Like, that's your Stairway to Heaven. That's your rock and roll all night.
Yeah, that's cool. That's way cool. I can appreciate that. That Round and Round was just a song. We knew it was a cool song. Warren and Robin and I at Rant Mansion West, sitting around with our 2 cassette decks, came up with the song. But it was just another song in the set. And until our producer, Bo Hill at the time, got a hold of it, it became what it did. But it is cool that we do have an identifiable song for what we do. And if we do another one, that's great. If we don't, thank God we did.
All of my friends who like heavy metal, that knew I was interviewing you, told me to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
And you've probably been asked this before, but in the lyrics, you say, I'll tell you why, right? But then you really don't, or do you?
Well, here you go. When I say it the first time, I tell you why. I'll tell you why. Looking at you, looking at me.
Right.
So I do tell you.
Okay. That's what I said, because in the future choruses, it's not followed up by an explanation, but in the first one it is. So I'm glad we put that to bed. Now, let's talk about the book, Sex, Drugs, Ratt and Roll, My Life in Rock. There's 2 specific things in the book that stuck out for me. One of them is, in the liner notes I got here, that you had to do something with a booking agent. And in the book, I wasn't sure if it was a man or a woman, so I couldn't wait to get to that part of the story.
It was
a woman named Dee Dee, correct? Or at least that's the name you give her in the book.
Yeah.
And according to your story in the book, in order to get to play the Whiskey, which was the biggest club in L.A. at the time for all the metal bands, she wanted to pledge you, basically.
And that was cool.
Yeah. That's a tough way to get a gig, huh?
Yeah. But, it got redundant after a while. But she was a great girl, and a good person. And it's just, what happened.
Well, I hope the rest of the band appreciated the sacrifice you were willing to make to get the band a gig.
Well, it was weird because, I was like acting agent guy and stuff. I'd have to go to Doug Weston's house, and that was a whole nother story to try to get into the Troubadour. But, I was just hustling us, until eventually we met Marshall Burrell, and who became our manager at the Whiskey when we were playing there, because we did become the house band at the Whiskey. And that's all we wanted to do was move up the ladder, graduate. I had been playing Gazzarri's for years with Mickey Ratt, and, and even when I did get to the Troubadour with the Ratt version with Jakey Lee, it was just a process. You couldn't play some clubs when you played another one for 30 days. It was just ridiculous back then. But, it worked.
And a lot of that's covered in the book. I do want to talk about my favorite story in the book. And again, the book is jam-packed with a history of the band, a history of you, great road stories. It's the story about Cinnamon. Can you paraphrase the story so I don't have to retell it? But the Cinnamon story is fantastic. You're backstage. The mom is hitting on you. She's all over you. She's kind of hot. And then what does she present you with?
Oh, her daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, her daughter. She says, hey, I've got my virgin daughter here, which I love in the book that you point out that even though you may have been a little drunk or whatever post-show, you were concerned she was of age, which I can respect.
Well, yeah, 100%, because it's the same went as far as me. I didn't need anybody's girlfriend or wife or something. There was too many girls. There would be 50 girls backstage, every day. But, yeah, that one incident, it went on a couple times. It wasn't just once, as I said. It was a couple times.
Right.
And she was hot. I don't know her real name, but Cinnamon.
Yeah, but you had a great question for her where you said, did you offer her up to Motley Crue, 2 weeks ago when they were in town? And her answer was, we couldn't get backstage.
Yeah, totally. We always said that because we knew if Motley was around anywhere near us that everybody had been taken to the mill.
Yeah. Well, here you found a virgin, so obviously they couldn't get to her, or she couldn't get to them.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, Stephen, listen, we're limited on time. It was an honor finally talking to you. Again, the book is really, really enjoyable. I found myself ripping through chapters very quickly. It's a great read if you're a fan of Ratt, if you're a fan of rock, if you're a fan of that whole period of time. It's worth picking up. Sex, Drugs, Ratt and Roll, My Life in Rock. Stephen Pearcy, thank you very much for a few minutes. Good luck with the book. And I understand real quick, because I read something that Bobby Blotzer released, you have another Ratt CD being worked on. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've been writing for the past year and a half, actually, and hopefully we can get started on this record. We wanted to go out and do some shows, tighten up, tune up, but now it looks like it's going to turn into like a little mini tour jaunt here, which is cool. And, then we'll get started on the record. Warren's got amazing stuff ready to go. I've got plenty of songs. The band's ready to go. Juan, our original bass player, is back in the fold.
That's good to hear that you guys...
Way excited.
Very good. Well, Stephen, thank you very much. Good luck with everything. It's a pleasure, and I will hit you up on Twitter.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.